a stunner from Memphis tonight. The Grizzlies fired head coach David Fizdale today, hours after the team suffered its 8th straight loss, and center Marc Gasol expressed dismay about sitting out the fourth quarter. Fizdale lasted 101 games in Memphis, where he became a cult hero just last spring during the playoffs for standing up for his team and delivering his now famous "Take That for Data" line. J.B. Bickerstaff has been named as the team's interim head coach. Last 6 games of this current slump, as you look at the numbers during the 8-game losing streak, have been without guard Mike Conley, who was on the sideline because of an Achilles injury. Just part of the context to think about when you consider the change. Let's get a little perspective on this jaw-dropper tonight. Let's welcome in Peter Edmiston of WHBQ Radio in Memphis. And Peter, appreciate the time. Are folks who follow the Grizzlies there in town as surprised as the rest of the league seems to be?
Well, without a doubt, Matt, it's a stunner. I think that's the right word for it. As much as there were some issues, as much as there were things going wrong, anytime you have an 8-game losing streak punctuated by losses at home to Dallas and Brooklyn, you've got problems. But I don't think anyone expected tonight to be looking at the Grizzlies without David Fizdale as head coach. So, yeah, shock all around.
Well, it came to a head last night, the relationship between Marc Gasol and David Fizdale, with Gasol commenting about his dismay not playing last night in the fourth quarter. Usually this is the sort of incident that would lead to a heart-to-heart conversation, not necessarily a firing. Was that the straw that broke the camel's back?
I think so, yeah. For the longest time, it's been something that has been reported locally, but I don't know that it was so much well-known nationally, that, Marc Gasol and David Fizdale really weren't on great terms. I don't know that it was a personal animosity or anything like that, but just philosophical differences about the way they wanted to approach the game. Last year, Fizdale asked Gasol several times to be more active in making leadership moves, like, for example, personnel decisions, play calling, schemes, that kind of stuff. And Marc just flatly refused and said, that's not my job. I'm not the coach. You're the coach. You tell me what to do. I'll do it. They had issues philosophically. They had resolved that a little bit over the summer. Fizdale went over to Romania to visit Marc while he was playing in Eurobasket. That seemed to smooth things over temporarily, but it has gotten more and more fractured, and an 8-game losing streak will do that to you. But benching him last night, and more importantly, guys, benching him without any explanation, without talking to him before, during, or after, in terms of saying, here's what we're doing, well, that's not going to fly with your star player. And it didn't fly. He was furious, said as much afterwards, and here we are.
And J.B. Bickerstaff is the guy moving forward here as an interim, at least. Big picture, Peter, if you look at it chronologically, 2 of the 3 last head coaches fired in the NBA are David Fizdale and Dave Joerger, both dismissed by the Grizzlies. How fragile is the state of the franchise right now in terms of its direction on the floor?
Well, on the floor, I think they are under no illusions about the transition that they've had to face. Going from, Marc Gasol, Mike Conley, Zach Randolph, Tony Allen, now to what they thought would be Marc Gasol, Mike Conley, and Chandler Parsons, but Parsons' injury, Mike Conley's injury, that's all changed that. On the floor, they're in transition. Off the floor, I don't think there's any doubt that the front office has not done them any favors in terms of stability. I don't know that the moves they've made have been all that great, and I don't know that in terms of ownership, they've had great connection with these coaches. Certainly the end of the Dave Joerger regime was fraught with a lot of problems on both sides. This one is much more of a, you can say what you want, but when the star player, it couldn't look more like a situation where Marc pushed all the chips in and David Fizdale ended up the loser, and that's not going to look good for your franchise no matter what happens.
Nope, and certainly Marc Gasol has not had the sort of reputation as a troublemaker within the locker room or a coach killer. Interesting doings in Memphis tonight. Peter Edmiston with us, and we appreciate the time, Peter.
Happy to do it, Matt. Thanks.